Fishing is fun, but hooking is the only way. We're gonna show you how to catch some fish today.
Today I'm out here at Boulder's Bar. I'm helping a friend John with J&J Tackle. There he is right there. So he had it professionally installed, but the first thing I did was looked at the transducer and it needs to be readjusted. So I'll give you an idea of what's happening. So first thing I asked him was, when you took the boat out, were you getting a reading when the boat was on plane, say going 25 miles an hour? And his response was no. So I know that the transducer is not put in the right place, but some boats you can't, it's impossible to get them to work. Then you would have to put a chute through the whole transducer with boring a hole through your boat to make it work properly. But I think I could fix this one. So I'm gonna come back to this boat and I'm looking at the transducer. This is that new 3-in-1. See how long it is? And the transducer is set way too high. So the transducer was like this, and here's the bottom of the boat right here. And the transducer was sitting this high, so it's impossible that it's gonna read.
Why is it impossible for it to read? It's not hitting the water?
No, because when you get the boat on plane, the transducer is out of the water. So anytime your boat, on the bottom of the boat here, so a surface like this, if you had too many ribs or you had a little indentation where they welded it, and it causes air turbulence when you're running, and the turbulence goes underneath the transducer, it will not read. So you got to try to make everything smooth. So I looked down the boat, you know, he has a runner right here, which the transducer is a little bit off to the side, so it should work. But if you were to get air bubbles coming off of this little rib right here, underneath here, it won't work. So sometimes, you know, they could be fixed and sometimes they can't. So we just have to trial and error, but I'm gonna get it super close to get this thing to work.
So explain what you're doing.
So basically I'm just taking it off and I'm gonna set it down lower. So obviously this boat has had many transducers on it, because you see all these holes back here. So, okay, so I removed this and you see all these holes. So this boat has had other fish finders or other transducers bolted to it, and it's probably had some adjustments, you know, where someone has been trying to get it to work properly, because there's holes all over. They look like it got hit by a shotgun. So I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna try to get this transducer about 1/8 to 1/4 inch below the bottom here. So I'm gonna find some holes that are already in here.
Why do you want it below the bottom?
So basically what these are called is a skimmer. So when the water comes off the bottom of the boat here, it continues to skim right underneath. Now if this is too low, the water hits it here and rolls, it won't read. If it's too high like it was, the water's here, so it's not gonna read. So they have to be set up pretty almost dead on to work. And sometimes they need some adjustments. Sometimes it's not just a one-time fix. So we're gonna try it and see if I can get this thing to work. I relocated the transducer, so I lowered it down about 1/2 inch. So now I have about 1/2 inch below, 1/2 inch below the bottom of the boat, and the transducer's tilted up in the back just a hair. Because when you put the boat in water, you put it in gear, the back end's gonna slouch down. So this needs to be a little bit at an angle on the up on the back. And how you tell if you have them done right is when you're on the water and you have your 2D on and you're grafting and you see the fish as a line like this, then this transducer needs to be kicked up in the back until you see an arc. So a perfect setup on this is when you're grafting your 2D, it'll have an arc like this, and we'll show you on the water. This is the basic setup, how I would do kokanee fishing. So basically you almost have to know approximately what depth the fish are in. So like when you first turn these things on, the thing's gonna say on the bottom, and it's going to tell you, it's going to put it on auto scale, so 0 to 7. Fishing in depths of say over 50, 60 feet, you want to run 200 kilohertz. you have an option here. You can also run medium chirp, but I found that 200 seems to work a little bit better for me. Sensitivity, you want it on manual, and you always want to turn it up to where you almost black the screen out like that, and then back it down a couple clicks. On the color line, always in California, you're going to be around 76%. When you adjust these things, you want the boat in gear, you want it idling just slow as the boat will go. So I know that these Kokanee are somewhere in this 40 to 75 foot range. So I'm going to go over here to range, and I'm going to take the auto. See that green? I'm going to hit the auto, turn it off, and then I'm going to hit custom. And you see that flashing? So all units you could do this. So I'm going to move over here, and I'm going to put the top, say at 35 feet, because I don't care what's up on the surface. And then I hit OK. Then I'm going to go to the bottom, and I know these fish could be a little bit deeper than what I'm marking, so I'm going to go to 80 feet and say OK, and then save. So now I'm only looking at 35 to 80 feet. So when I see a fish like a little Kokanee, you're going to see an arc like this. You're going to actually see a line go across the screen like this. This will always show you that you're in what depth I'm in, but it's only showing you where I want to look, because I know those fish are somewhere between, say, 45 and 80 feet of water. So then I open the window so I could see it better. Over here, we're in 388 feet of water, and I'm going to put along, and you could actually, when I'm going to go here, and I'm going to increase the sensitivity just a little bit, and we'll just put along until you see them. So this depth here, you could also change those bigger by, on this unit, we'll go in here and it's actually edit overlays. So then I'm going to hit the plus, and I'm going to make it a little bigger so I can see it. I'll come down here, the water temperature, make it a little bit bigger. I might want to add, because we're trolling here, so I'll put the speed over ground, make that a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to save it. So when you have your transducer adjusted right and the boat's in idling speed, you're going to see an arc like this. Those are fish. So we're going to come along, and at first, when we first stopped, we saw quite a few. So we're going to come around here. And usually, like if you're idling as slow as the boat will go and you see marks like this, lines like this, then that transducer in the back needs to be tilted up. So you saw me this morning actually remove it and set it down a little lower and tilt it up. And it just depends how you go across the skull, because if they're not perfectly in that cone angle, then you might get a mark like this. But as long as you see some marks where you're getting the arc like that, then you should be able to catch these fish. When we first stopped here, we saw more, so I'm going to come over here, put it like here. But John's been here earlier, so let's see.
Why'd you put a new track on?
Huh?
Why'd you put a new track on?
Yeah, you can. So like different days, so like today, I mean, they come in black, right? So like if I was here for a different amount of days, you can come over here, go to trails, go to new, and we'll just set yellow and save and exit. Now it's going to start printing us in yellow. Here we go, we see some fish down here at 70. So they might even be deeper. So we're going to come over here and go back to range, go to custom, go to lower, and I'm going to up it to 90 feet. Okay, I'm going to go to the top and move this one to 45 because I know they're deeper, and then okay. And then we'll see what happens. So see, now you see it tracking us in yellow. So like different days. Mm-hmm. So like every day I would come, I change the color so I know what day, you know, like right. Otherwise everything will be in black. When you have this sensitivity on manual, you always have to fool around with it, because when you might come up on a shelf that's like 50 feet shallower, your screen's gonna get black like this. So you have to go in here and just touch it just so that it clears up about like that, where you could just hardly see any specks. That way there you know you're getting actually a double reading, so you're getting a strong return on the transducer. So anything you see like groups, you know, you will actually see them. When you start believing in your electronics, if I don't see anything on here, especially when I'm this deep, then I'll just keep going until I can find some schools. You want to actually have that thing tracking your trail so you know exactly where you were. So like when we first pulled up, we pulled on a big school of fish here. So basically this flag here, I would have hit it twice, marked it as a waypoint, put the gear down and just troll right back and forth. And that school you probably would have had double or triples. There are so many there. So here we're coming, there's some here. And usually this lake, you see them everywhere. We just ran our school, so sometimes, like we're catching the corner of the school, so you're gonna see just a blimp because it's not in that cone angle. When you go dead through the cone angle, then you're gonna see globs and see the arcs. But when you see it like this, then we just went off to the side of them just a little. There's one right there. You can definitely see the arc right there. But I usually wouldn't stop here because there's not enough on there. This morning, when we first put in here, yes, I would have stopped because there was a lot more. That was a big school. I'm going to be going as slow as a boat will go, which probably most boats 2 to 4 miles an hour when you're grafting.
What about less than 2?
That's fine. As long as it's in gear, you're fine. Because when you're going like 1.2 trolling for coke, you see the marks. As long as the boat's in gear, moving. And we got our limit of cokes, but she ate one, so we only got 9.
Fishing is fun, but hooking is the only way. We're gonna show you how to catch some fish today.